All right, I guess it's kind of hopeless for me to manage to do one page of notes in 10 minutes. So this will be the last segment. I'll stop at some point and just not finish if necessary. Anyways, moving on to talk a little bit more about responsibility. I guess for me, etiquette and responsibility kind of blend. Had a couple of episodes with my English 2 network that really confirmed for me the importance of using this as a tool to teach students. Had a student go under I think it was blogs. And so he decided to add a new blog, and his blog was My Hot Models Survey. Who do you think is hottest? And so I don't remember exactly what he put in the body. I don't remember, but there were three popular models that year, and so I woke up the next morning, and here on our English 2 Ning is this blog. Here we go. Okay, just ignore my photo here and imagine a student photo there, and here it is. And my first reaction was to be really quite frustrated with him. How dare he? Who does he think he is? He can't get away with this. And I realized, well, he's a sophomore, and he was one of those kids that really I felt that wasn't typical for him, and so I was decided to keep it under the radar. I removed it from the Ning immediately. It was very easy to do in the features section. Actually, I could just go in and delete it because I'm administrator. And so as soon as he came to class, he was very excited because he wanted to see if there had been any responses yet. So he came to class, and then he yelled, "Oh, where'd it go? Mrs. G, did you take it down?" Well, at that point, he'd gone public with it. And so I had to call him outside, and I said, I was really intending not to go public with this, but I asked him, I said, now let me just ask you, you have a very lovely girlfriend, and I know you have a sister. What I'm wondering is if you would actually stand up front in chapel and with maybe your girlfriend present, your entire family, including your younger sister, let's throw in your grandmothers, the entire school board, all of the school administrators, would you stand up in chapel, take the microphone, and say, "I objectify women"? And his face looked, registered some horror and shock. He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "That's not what I meant at all." And so we had a good little conversation about it. Nothing like that happened again. But it made me aware again of the very blurred line between what the kids really understand they can and can't do, or should and shouldn't do, and what just pops into their head as a really good idea. Had another student who I came to the Ning one day, and there was me, and then there was another photo of me, identical photo, and it was a student who had used his cell phone to take a picture of my photo, which was in the hallway because we have a display of all the teachers' photos, and then he had scanned it and cropped it or whatever. Anyways, he was using it as his avatar. And so again, my first reaction was, my goodness, what gives you the right to do that? So when he came into class, I simply commented and said, "I'm not a public figure." And he looks at me and I said, "You understand the implication of that, right?" I said, "I am not a public figure." And by the end of class, he had changed it. But there's all sorts of situations that, of course, I wouldn't have dreamed of any of this happening 20 years ago when I was a brand new teacher. But we as teachers in the classroom are the ones who are seeing this kind of stuff, working with the kids on a day-to-day basis. And maybe they're being given wonderful education at home by their parents, and then they're just kind of trying and experimenting and playing around with us at school. I feel like they aren't really getting a lot of guidance from anybody at all. And so I really take a huge sense of responsibility to myself to educate them and to kind of walk them through the world of virtual reality. An article that I've gone through with several of my classes is this one. You can see it's a little bit getting on the old side. Facebook used as character evidence, lands some in jail. It's about a young man who drank, he drove, he got in an accident, badly injured a woman, and then during the sentencing, the prosecution found this photo on his Facebook page, that he had dressed up like this for Halloween after the accident. And this led in part, was part of what led him to have a 2-year a jail sentence instead of just serving community service because they said that it represented indifference. Now, the thing is that he didn't take this picture and he didn't post it on his Facebook page. And so it makes a wonderful discussion with the kids because, we sympathize with the victim, we sympathize with the kid. Some of my students have said, well, he was just a kid, he didn't know how to handle the, having been in an accident, and kids are quick to point out that's Red Bull, it's not beer. Lots of kids party and pretend to be something that they're not really. And, I'm not trying to take sides here. I'm just trying to get good discussion going on with the kids. What's interesting, I had one girl say, oh, that's just stupid. Everybody knows you don't put photos on your Facebook page, and if people put them there, you take them off, and you're responsible for that. And yet, a number of months later, she herself put something up on Facebook, which was totally inappropriate, and she suffered the consequences of it. So just because the kids know something intellectually doesn't always mean that it translates to behavior. We know this because we work with kids and we see it all the time. But considering the permanence of their digital footprints, I think it's vital that we be working with them. The number of kids who insist that this sort of thing, this article goes on to talk about people who have lost jobs, who have not gotten into graduate school, that sort of thing. And I've had kids say, well, it's an invasion of privacy. So, if that's what they perceive, if they perceive that their Facebook page is somehow private, and that's another one. Oh, well, I have everything set to private. So there's a lot of misbeliefs. There's a lot of fantasy kind of going on in what they think about the internet. So again, it just gives a great opportunity for discussion. And let's see, I think I've got one more down here. There's still so little precedent. I found this article a year ago, and I've not looked heavily since then. Most 20-somethings, I think, know somebody or know quite a few people who have had some negative consequences from their social networking, from the digital footprints they've left. They might know somebody who's been denied entry to professional school. They might know somebody who's not been able to get a job, or who's been fired from a job or been disciplined on the job. And but most of the students I work with, and I work with seniors, I work with sophomores, and I think it goes all the way down into junior high and elementary. Most of our junior high school students don't know anybody who's been impacted. So the social media backlash is beginning. But it's not, I think we've got another 5 to 10 years before this becomes something that's really part of everybody's consciousness, and we start seeing kids being taught from all sides to be much, much, much more careful. So, and then last but not least, wanted to just share one of my all-time favorite sites as a teacher. It's a wonderful resource. It's a wonderful community, and that's the English Companion Ning, which was started by Jim Burke, I think just about 3 years ago, and it's got, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 members at this point, and there are just amazing resources here. It's one of the first places that I go if I'm starting a new unit and I'd like to freshen it up again. I'm not going to try to walk you through everything. It's a great place to blog if you are looking for a place full of teachers. As you can imagine, it is mostly English teachers and reading teachers, language arts teachers. There's some librarians, but really anybody who's a teacher is welcome. Let's see, where's the curriculum? Here we go. Text, writing, reading, discussion, technology, blogs, testing, assessment, AP Lit and Comp. This was when I first started the audit of my syllabus for AP Literature and Composition. This was just a lifesaver. There's a whole section where people have just uploaded their syllabi, and so I was able to look and get some ideas about formatting and flow. It was just incredibly helpful. And so they've had a number of webinars or webstitutes, and there are regular book clubs going on. So highly recommend it. It is, you can see the address up here, englishcompanion.ning.com, and then you do need to have a Ning identity, and then you need to wait a little while to have your membership approved. And then, like I said, it's just a wonderful community to be a part of. And I think I have finally done it. I think that's all I have to say about that.